Hello folks, another day, another programme. Yesterday I might have told you that I was considering getting a regulator, so I ordered one late on yesterday afternoon. It actually arrived this morning. So this one's from Robert Lane. It's the Lancet Mark 9 and it's come from Petersfield in Leicestershire. So what do you get in the kit? Because when you do order these tubes, the internal dimensions on them change. So up until about 2017, there's a smaller internal diameter by 2 or 3 millimeters, and after 2017 the size of the internal diameter changed. So when you do order them for a Gladius or Galatian or any of the other rifles, make sure you get the right fitting. Now there is a date on the end of the air cylinder, so as soon as you find out which date that is, and you're ordering off either Ultros or Robert Lane, he's got details on his site which one you need to purchase, so make sure you get the right one. So then in the kit you get a bag, and in the bag on the package it says that's in Gladius, set at 85 bar. This is for a 12 foot-pound rifle. So it's regulator, standard standoff spacer to suit, spare seal kit, silicone grease, 2.8mm drill bit for the transfer port. So that's 2.8mm you need to drill the transfer port out to, and that's what you get in the kit. Is your drill bit, there's all your seals, and there's a regulator, and it's got all the information there as well in the package. Now I won't be doing this today, but I just thought I'd let you know this will be another project coming up in the next few days. Now I was hoping to just put the regulator in the cylinder to show you how easy it is, but I've been looking all over for me degasser. I can't find it at the moment, so hopefully by tomorrow I'll have found it and I'll degas it, I'll put it in, and we'll go right through it. Because it's not just a matter, as you can see just from the details in this, it's not just a matter of taking that off, shoving your regulator and away you go. It needs to be finely tuned and balanced. And the way to do it, you're doing that is by opening up the transfer port, which is 2.8mm according to that. You need to put pre-tension on the exhaust valve itself, because if you don't, it opens too easy, lets more air through, and it goes over the limit. So you need to put pre-tension on the valve if you need to. You'll only know that when you start chronographing it, but it's a fine balance between doing the transfer port, the exhaust valve. how heavy that actual valve stem needs hitting to open the valve, and then the actual hammer spring tension. So to do all that, you need to make sure you've got no anti-tamper on your rifle as well. If you don't know how to do that on the Hatching Gladius, if you look back in some of my videos, I'll show you how to do that. I will leave a link as well at the end. So that's an update on the Hatching Gladius and the Mark 9 Lancet regulator. I'll probably tune that tomorrow or in the next couple of days anyway. Another rifle I will be working on in the future will be the AGS PCR1. I'll be doing a complete strip down and seal change on that, because the last time I used it, which was in one of these particular series of videos, the COVID files, I was shooting it and it appeared like the air was going out too quick, so I think it's got a leak on it, either in the exhaust valve itself or at the front end. So I'll strip it all down and I'll replace all the seals, and I'll tune that as well. So that's 2 tuning videos coming up. I've also come out with a new target, a fun target just for the lockdown. It's a COVID virus target. It's got 5 targets, 4 scores, 4 different targets on the actual scorecard. Score you 10, one scores 20. So just something to amuse yourselves with. If you can shoot, that is, on your backyard or indoors. You can shoot it at any range you like, pistol or rifle. Pistol indoors ideal, if you can't get out. But today I've got the Falcon Prairie, and it's got the lightweight stock on it. You've seen it out before, but I'll be chronographing it and doing some target shooting as I've been doing this week on the different rifles that I've got. So the next up then will be testing out the Falcon Prairie lightweight. It's a Prairie BM, I think the bull barrel, I think that stands for. It's a nice little rifle. This one's in 177. They did do them in 2.2. They did come out with FAC versions on the Prairies, and I think some of those were in 2.5 as well, so they're pushing out 30 to 35 foot-pound. Lovely rifles. It's a shame that they're no longer made, but Airgunners bought all the rights to them. So if you do want spares for a Falcon, you can still get spares through Airgunners, or you can use Bagnall and Kirkwood as one of them. I'm trying to think what the other one is. But there's a couple of retailers out there anyway. We can get all the parts still. The bolt on this is an actual Brocock bolt, so that proves that the Falcon bolts and the old Brocock rifle bolts fit together. A lot of those parts are interchangeable really. So I think Brocock, a lot of the engineers it started off as tight and then Falcon, and then when Falcon finished, some of the engineers went to Brocock, who then went on to Daystate. So I think the chief engineer at Daystate, who works on the new Brococks, he worked at all 3 of the companies. But I know when I met him for the first time, I said how similar the parts were, and he explained to me that's why. But yeah, lovely rifle, very accurate. The barrels on these Falcons, I believe, were like on the Brocock. I'm not sure actually. I think they could be. I know on the Brococks a lot of the barrels were from Iraq, so they could be on the Falcons. Really accurate. Although I think these might be Walford, but when they went to Brocock, they ended up having Iraq barrels, or some of each. But nice rifle. So we'll get on with some chronographing and we'll get on with some target shooting. It's been a really hot day today, so it's probably the hottest day since the lockdown. We're now into day 15, just over 2 weeks. I can't see us coming out of this for another 6 weeks at least yet. Figures have gone up today as well. UK wide it's probably close to 1,000 died today over the last 24 hours. So yeah, as long as we all stick to the rules, try not to mix with each other. If you want to socialise, do it on Facebook or whatever, some other thing. I'll just try to keep you amused, keep you occupied while I can. So that takes my time up, and all you need to do is follow the rules, stay safe, and one day it'll all be over. So we'll get on with the test. Okay then, using the QYS streamline pellets, these weigh 9.56 grains.
$698, $700, $1, $694, $684, $698, $698, $696, $689, $700, 3, $700, 3, $700, 10, $700, 12, $700, 7, $700, 1, $696, 700, 5, $700, 5, $700, 7, $700, 10, $691, 691, 696, 689, 700, 1, 700, 7, 700, 1, 700, 10, 694, 700, 12, 700, 10.
Okay then, that's 30 shots. Problems with the magazine, which is typical on the Falcons. That's one of the bad parts of the rifle. So I've gone back to the single shot. So the spread of 28, standard deviation 7.5, average of 701 feet per second, a high of 712 feet per second, and a low of 784 feet per second. So that is the results from the Falcon. So that particular pellet was given an average of 10.4 foot-pounds, a high of 10.8 and a low of 9.9. So they don't fit the barrel like some of the other pellets have got, which will give a higher reading, but it's well inside the actual legal limit anyway, and that's more or less what you're going to get out of the factory. So next up will be the target side of the shoot after I've done the refill on the rifle. So I'll top the rifle up and then we'll do some target shooting. Okay, then we're going to top the rifle up to 200 bar, and then what we'll do then, we're going to check the actual filtration system on the pump. As somebody asked me on YouTube channel this morning how the filter's doing on the rifle, on the compressor. Well, I had a look the other day on the compressor nearest to the rifle, which comes with a compressor, and that was clean, very clean. And I think that's due to the fact that I bought the extra air mega filter, and that's, instead of having one filter in like this has got, it's got 4 in it. So that's bound to help this. So what I'll do, when I've filled the rifle up, we'll take the end of the filter off and we'll see what condition the filters are in after. I've been using them for about 1 hour 17 minutes, 16 minutes, somewhere like that. So after an hour and 16 minutes of constant use, we'll see what the filters have been working like. So the last thing you want is water in your rifle. But it seems to do a good job anyway. Every time you bleed it, you'll get some water and oil coming out, and what's not bleeding off will also be going through there, and that's what the filters are for. So I'll get the thing started. We'll top it up to 200 bar. We'll time that one, and then we'll check the filters. Okay, so it took about 30 seconds, 25 to 30 seconds to fill. So I bled the actual bleed valve off there. Spray on there. So then, next off, we'll check the filters. Okay then, so first off we'll check the filter up near the whip. This is the last filter that you get before it enters the rifle. See, it's got natural O-ring on it, and if you look in there, it looks as good as it was when I got it, really. Okay. I think what I'll do now, take this part off. Now this is the end of the filter, the last one coming out before you get to the rifle. See if you can see the quite a long thread on this. Now that has got a bit of oil on it. Where are we? So looking at that one, that does look a bit grubby, so what I'll do, I'll change out the filters on all of them. I'll unscrew this one. Jesus, that is tight. See what the first filter looks like. Okay, it wasn't as bad as I expected or thought in the first place. Now the reason that's so dark, it's not oil, it's charcoal. Now most good filters use charcoal, it absorbs all the moisture. So that there is basically charcoal on that, it's being forced through by the high pressure. So if you look on the back of that cap there, it's not too bad. It's only bad where the actual charcoal's been. Same again, here's the filter where it's been touching the charcoal, it's got a dark patch on it, but the other end it's a lot cleaner. So when I opened the tube up, that was all that was in it. One of these plus that, but that's a very good purchase really, that one of these, and just pay another 20 quid. And you can see it's called the Air Mega, and that will just make sure that your final filter will be okay. Because any moisture, oil and water should get caught by this and then this. So that's what they're designed for. Okay, so I'll replace this one and I'll put another one in, I think. Now that one, I'll try and get it out if I can. That's where I put my thing in it, but it's not too bad. And I have been told that you can actually wash these out as well. But I've got plenty in the pack as it stands. And I'll see how easy it is to get a new spare cotton buds before I do anything like that. Alright, so I'll put those back together. Whilst finding the filtration kit that came with this, I actually found my valve for the Hudson's air cylinder is in the same pack, so I'll be able to bleed that and put the valve in, the regulator in. But that's that up to now, so you can see what the filters are like, and the darkness on that is not oil, it's charcoal. So it's been doing its job. Right, so this is a degasser for the Hudson cylinders. Now depending on your rifle, they do come in different sizes, but the Hudson, Galatian and Gladius are all the same. Basically they tighten down onto the valve, and using an Allen key, there's an Allen screw in there, and that basically goes through and it pushes in the actual valve stem, and that bleeds the valve off, then bleeds the cylinder off. You tighten it off, and there's a little bleed hole on it there, so point that away from you unless you want it blown in your face. And you start to tighten it. Imagine if you open it up fast, it feels really cold on the cylinder. Do it the other way around and try and pump air into it and do it too fast, it gets hot. But, so that's the air let out. So that's the exhaust valve. Fix that some more. Like I say, you need to space out the actual spring that's against the valve stem itself. If you've not got no long nose pliers, you can use that trick. You just stick 2 Allen keys down, that just gets it started. And then you can screw the cap. So you've got a spring on top of the cap, and there's holes in the cap where the air comes into the valve from the cylinder. might already have some spacers on this, I'm not sure yet. So you just get a small Allen key or something just to help push the valve out. No, there's no spacers on this one. So what I'll do, I'll get a washer, just get one washer and put it on that to space it out. And then I'll put the valve in, the regulator in. What also needs to come off is the actual O-ring on your valve, and what that does, that lets the actual regulator breathe. So normally if you pinch, it's got plenty of bloody grease on it, but if you pinch the O-ring just to get a gap on it, and you can normally put quite tight there. Put something in which should make that little gap. Just to get the O-ring off. You put the regulator in, screw this back up, and you leave a wafer thin gap, probably about a piece of paper gap in the end. And because the regulator's got a seal on it, that stops the air passing the regulator, but it also allows the air to escape from the regulator to breathe, and that's how it escapes through there. Now in some cases, if it doesn't work that way, you can actually cut a groove through the threads, but I'm not going to do that. So I've done that before and it's just ended up leaking out everywhere. But we want to see if it's okay first. So I'll put a spacer on the valve stem, and we'll put the regulator in. I'll top it over there to make sure it's not leaking. And when I put the air in, the regulator's being set at 85 bar. It has been. That's why I can open up the transfer port more, because normally 85 bar you'd be pretty low down on the power, but you open up the valve to make it more efficient. The transfer port to make it more efficient, and that's also why you put more pressure on this spring, because you need to make it a bit harder for the hammer that strikes it to open the valve. It's all part of the balancing of the regulator and everything. But what I'll do now, I'll space that, put the regulator in, we'll top it over there and we'll see if it's holding air. Okay then folks, you can see I've now got the regulator, and let's see, that is the regulator itself, and we've got the pot there that sits there between the regulator and the valve. Some people would call that the plenum, but that's basically the air. That's where the air is stored before it goes to the valve. Also in the kit, the one I've got, this one is a cylinder that you can take off. Now if you've not got a cylinder, some rifles, this will go the full length of the rifle, so you can't put it in like this. So what's supplied with it, you've got a little pin, and what it does, it threads through the end of the regulator there, so that you can push it through, and then when you need to get it out, you get a wide hook, shove it down the cylinder to pull it back out again. You don't really need to do that with this. You can push it out that way, the way it came in, so you don't need to put that one on. What you do need to do before you put it in is grease it up, especially the O-ring there. You'll see there's a little hole on top, and that's where it bleeds air out of. That's basically it really. So because it's a cylinder, you don't need to drill the actual tubing, because it's one you take off. The ones you can't take off, because they've got no screw-on valve that you can unscrew the actual cylinder with. That's why you have to do it that way. So just grease up that. What it does, it protects the actual rubber O-ring, and it helps lubricate it for when you shove it in. Because it can be a tight fit, so it just helps. And then at the bottom you've got another O-ring, and that needs lubing up as well. That's what's in contact with the end of the valve. Right. So that slid in pretty easy, that did. So the regulator's in. Here's a little washer I've got. Now you can add washers to it if you need to add washers to it. There's your valve stem. There we go. So the valves come out there. What I'm going to do, I'll put a bit of grease on the O-ring on the valve as well. Just a little O-ring on that. Put the O-ring over the back of that. There. That's good. So the O-ring's gone on the back there. I'll just screw that back in. So obviously it's now under more tension. That nearly went. Okay. So do then, put some grease around the face of the brass. So that's contacting the rubber O-ring on the cylinder. What I'm going to do, I've not shoved the regulator all the way in. I've done that on purpose because as this screws in, it will then butt up to the regulator, then push it in where it needs to be. Okay, so it's just left a paper thin gap there for any air to escape that needs to escape. So what I need to do now is top it up with air to make sure it's got a seal, because they don't always seal on the first go. And then if it's not leaking, I'll get on with the tune probably tomorrow. So we'll leave it at that. Okay then, got the COVID target set up, down, range 18 yards. See how it goes. That'll do. What's going on? Same again. Go to the last shot at the middle. Go to the target on the right. Sorry. Okay, now go for the COVID target. Still going slightly high. As you can see, it's pretty accurate. Back for the centre. Bottom left. The target on the left. Okay, top left. This will be the last one. Got it. Right. I'll try and leave a link for the target down there so you can download it. It'll be at the bottom of the information panel. So that is the Falcon Prairie. I'll see you in the next video.